Hey everyone, welcome to You Can Automate YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss about data types in JavaScript. Okay, let's begin with that. And in JavaScript, we have two types of data types. Basically, one is primitive data types, another is reference data types. And each of these having some subtypes. Primitive data types has four types inside it. That is a string, a number, boolean, undefined, and null. Reference data types having arrays and objects. Okay, let's look into these things one by one. First, let's start with the string. Right, string. In string variable, and just we are going to create one of the variable. Let say, for example, let name equals to Kumar. Right, and I'm going to print this particular variable, that is console.log name. Okay, this should print me a value called Kumar. Okay, I'm just going to run this particular program. Node data type.js, it is printing a value called Kumar. This means that this particular variable is holding a value which is of type string. Whenever any value which you put inside the double quotes or single quotes in JavaScript, that becomes a string type. Okay, now the question can come here, like, how do I make sure that it is taking it as a string type, right? So in JavaScript we have something called type of, right? Just to confirm what is the type of variable, right? We have something called type of. Okay, and variable name, you can put it here. Type of variable, what it will do is it will specify, it will provide you a information of this particular variable's type, what type value it is storing, right? So I'm just going to run it. It should print me a string. Okay, maybe I have not saved. Let's see. Yeah, so if you see here, string is printed. That means that this particular variable is holding a value which is of type string. Whenever you enclose any value between double quotes, that becomes a string, right? And this is a way you can confirm any variable, what is, you can know what type of variable it is. Okay, second one is number. So I'm going to create one number, one variable called age. I'm going to put some value inside that, that is 23, and I'm going to print that particular variable, that is age, right? Let me clear this console so that we can have a clear visibility of the results. I'm going to save that and run this. If you observe, Kumar is printed, that is a type of the variable, and next one is the age. Okay, similarly you can also print type of for this particular age variable. Okay, this should tell us that it is a number, right? This is the data type of number. Whatever data we are storing, that is of type number, right? So because it's a it's a age, it's a value, integer value or decimal value, whatever you put, it is a number value. So it should print us, it should tell us that it is a number type. Okay, let me run this and showcase. So if you observe, this is printing a type as number. Similarly with other data types also, whenever you use a type of, that should tell us like what is the data type, what is the data, what kind of a data this particular variable is holding. Okay, now look at the third one, that is boolean, right? Boolean may have only true or false values. So let me create one variable called flag, then I'm going to assign value called true. Okay, I'm just going to print that flag, right? This, okay, let me push this reference down. Okay, flag, here I'm assigning value called true, and I'm to a particular variable called flag. I'm just going to print that. Okay, if you observe, true is printing. If you change this flag variable to false, right, then it should print us a false value, right? False is printing. Now let's look into undefined, right? So what is undefined? It's a bit strange for us when we have come from a different programming language to JavaScript, right? Undefined is nothing but just when you declare a variable and not assigning any value to it, that becomes an undefined variable, undefined data type. So let's say, for example, let a address equals to address. I'm not going to assign anything, just I'm going to declare address, that's it. And if I print this particular address variable, that should give me undefined because I have not assigned any value to it. That's why it becomes undefined. Address. Cool. Now let's see. If you see, undefined is a data type, data which is having, so it is an undefined data type, right? Now next one is a null. If you create one variable and then you can assign null value to it, that becomes your null data types, right? It should become pin code, right? Just going to run this. If you observe here, it is saying null. That means that this particular variable is holding a value called null and it is printing same thing. Let's print type of this pin code. Let's see what it prints, right? Type of pin code, it's an object, right? Whenever you create any particular variable and assign null to it, and if you observe the type of it, it becomes object type, right? And yeah, this is all about primitive data types. And now let's go to reference data types, right? In reference data types we have arrays and objects. Okay, how do I create arrays in JavaScript? It is very straightforward and very simple. Constant, and I'm going to say that names equals to one square bracket. Here you can fill any values. If I want to fill string values inside this names object, names array, then I'm going to say I can Kumar and Rahul. Let me put it as double quotes just to maintain the uniformity. Manoj. Yep. This is my array which holds names in it and which is defined by using a square bracket, and each value inside this array are separated by comma, and it is enclosed between the double quotes. Okay. If I want to print this particular names, so it should print me all the values. Clear this terminal. Okay, if you observe the last one, it is printing all the values. Let me let me comment above one so that we'll have a clear output in the terminal. Okay, so let me run it again. Okay, it is printing only arrays now. Okay, one specialty you should identify in JavaScript arrays, that JavaScript array can have any type of values, not like any other programming language where you need to declare only a similar type of values inside a particular array. Say for example, in Java, if you create an array with a string, then you should put all the values inside as a strings only. But in JavaScript, there is no restriction for that. You can have the integer values also for this, right? So I am going to add age here, I'm going to add pin code, right? I can add any type of values inside it, but still it works fine. So in JavaScript, we don't have any restriction for to have a array to have a specific type of values. That is one specialty in JavaScript. We should keep this in mind. Okay, I'm just going to run this. If you observe the output. Kumar, Rahul, Manoj, it is an integer, this is also integer, right? It's going to have any type of values inside it. This is about arrays. Let me add a comment here. Okay, then objects. In JavaScript, we have multiple ways of creating object. One of the type I'm going to discuss here, and then other types of object creation methods, like we will discuss further in the JavaScript as the course progress happens, right? Then objects. So using const, I'm going to create object, the object name person, and enclose the entire object within flower bracket, and then you can add the prototype or the member variables of objects. So for example, name, I'm going to say that Kumar, right? And then age is I'm going to say 25. So this is my object, and this particular object has two properties in it. One is name, another is age, and this particular name property has a value called value as Kumar, and the property age having some 25 value, right? Value as 25. Now if I want to access any of the properties of object, it is straightforward. Console.log, I'm going to type it as person, that is object name dot age name or whatever it is. Or if you have a number of variables, a number of properties in the object, you can pick any one of them. See here I'm going to pick first name, okay, semicolon, and then I'm going to print age, okay, person dot age. So this will give me two values from this particular person object. Let me run this and see. This is Kumar and age is 25. So this is about reference data types and particularly about objects, right? And to summarize, in JavaScript we have two types of data types at very high level. We can see one is primitive data types, another is reference data types. In primitive data types we have a strings, number, boolean, undefined, and null. And in reference data types we have arrays and objects. What is the specialty which we need to remember in arrays is array can hold any type of values in it. There is no restriction of holding the any specific data types values in it, that we need to remember. And objects, we can create a number of ways are there to create objects. This is one of the way, and we will discuss more about objects in detail in further sessions. Thank you.